my mom about doing a bed and breakfast, and was really into the gardens and the garden devas and davies. And my brother particularly had been doing rainbow gatherings and burnt his license um, and was very Native American influenced. And he thought we'll have a trading post, which I thought that this is kind of far away for a trading post. But anyways, um, the trading post was his idea. And then Mukti Dharma and myself had this idea of a yoga retreat. And we were all interested in also alternate like permaculture. So we I found it actually in the when I was looking through all the photos. We had a sister-in-law, Leon, organize. And so those were kind of our first courses, and we didn't have any buildings, so this wasn't here. When you see some of the photos, you'll see like it's just there's nothing. Yeah, no trees, no garden, no buildings. So none of what you're seeing now was there. And there you go. That's the building of I think this yurt. Yeah. So that's the beginning, and that was Gavin Cederman, who actually some of you might remember, who've been around for a while. He amazing creative man who unfortunately is not with us, but that was kind of the early days of the yurt. And so we had lots of different influences. My brother particularly brought in the earth building and that creativity with his wife Leon. She painted all these paintings. So that was the song. That's the that. So and we worked really hard, and Atma Baba can attest to that. Actually, I'm sure he might have a few stories. But in those days, we didn't have any quiet days. We didn't have days off. It was very kind of what we learned in India. We directly imported, imported, and we worked our little buns off, didn't we? Building this place, and we played. We had a lot of fun too. Yeah. So, and yeah, maybe Baba wants to share how.
My plans for life. It all happened by accident, actually. My history was in outdoor leadership and guiding and the outdoors, and I was asked by the police to look for a hunter in the Abu Tasman National Park who was lost, and so we got helicoptered into the bush by an Air Force Iroquois and dropped in, winched in, and we got dropped in the wrong place, so we didn't know where we were. So we were essentially lost, but we had 4 days worth of provisions, and we were searching. So we slowly wandered out, and we wandered out on some farmland and saw a building on top of this hill, and obviously went up there to see if we could find somebody. And this was Anahata Yoga Retreat and came across. I thought it was a very strange place at the time. These people dressed in orange, and it was quite rough actually back then. Yeah, like Syria is quite flash now, what it was like. And I remember this guy dressed in black, still this image, and he's curled up on a sleeping bag in the middle of the day out there in Syria. I don't know who he is. But so anyway, we called the cops, and the cops were about to send a search party off for us, and so we had first port of call really. I didn't think much of it, and then 18 months later my health plummeted, and all I could think was to go and talk to this guy in orange and see what he has to say, and knocked on the door basically and sat down with him, and that was the first time somebody was making some sense as to what was actually going on for me. And I'd planned to come for 2 weeks and
10 years.
Stayed 10 years, just about. yeah, and yeah, back in those days, it was 7 days a week. There was no time off because there was always something else that needed to be done, and a lot of that stuff that needed to be done was the infrastructure that you see around the place. Yeah, so um, yeah, we didn't have days at the beach or
Unless we were collecting seaweed.
yeah, it was work related. Um, but in that was a lot of freedom because the mind became very focused and it became very quiet and my needs and my desires and my habits how you could begin to let go of what was the problem, what was the trouble in your life, and discover all these other qualities that you didn't know were there. Yeah, so back in the day, you were chucked into roles that you didn't have a clue what you were doing, and you just figured it out. And that's pretty much what I'm doing now at the moment with the building project. I hadn't done anything like that before myself, and so I'm, able to go into that through this experience of living here, and you just adapt. So yeah, it was quite amazing back in the day. There was a really nice community of dedicated sannyasis who were here 7 days a week working their butt off. Yeah.
Often people,
Good
oh,
I have a question.
yes, okay.
Did you ever find the person?
Oh, the person, yeah. Not me personally, but he was actually found where we were supposed to be, so he wasn't found for 2.5 days, I think it was. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. He went off, his dog fell down the cliff and he went down to get his dog and fell off the cliff himself and got into trouble, so yeah.
But he was okay.
But he was okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I first like people often ask, how did you find the land? And I always feel like the land found us. And I do want to honor Grant Knowles, who was the first person to take us up this. And in those days, the road was shocking. It was like, if you think the road's bad now, it was like, huge dips and really a terrible road. And he had the very, very old truck. And it took us literally about an hour and a half to get up the hill in this really, truck that just barely moved up the hill. And when we got here, there was no logic. It was like, it didn't have what we thought we wanted. We were looking for water. We were looking for something near a national park, so that bit was there. Didn't have buildings that we could kind of stay in. They were just falling down huts, really, what was here. And yet there was just this inner knowing for all of us that this is the place. And Swami Mukti Dharma was still in, he'd gone back to Colombia, South America for the first time to be with his family after 16 years in India. Oh, Bhakti! She's one of our... Oh, Bhakti Sagar's cat who thinks she lives here and we have to always send her home. So anyways, we, I forgot what I was saying. Where was it? Oh, he went to Colombia, and when he came here, he said, this is the mountain of Shiva. And of course, that's what we often feel. It's a crystal mountain, and it's a very powerful energy. And I was young. I was only 25, and I thought, I'm going to be so bored up here in this place. All it has is sheep. And people said, who are you going to teach yoga to? Only the sheep are there to teach, And really, but from day one, we started to have people just appear. Our first woofer was a beautiful Japanese woofer. And then people just came from different places, and it's still like that. We've got all this amazing crew who've been here creating the space for you here, and they're from Italy and Brazil and Colombia and England, and so this place has just been this international magnet for both for New Zealanders, but also international people to come and transform. And it certainly hasn't always been easy. There's always lots of ups and downs for sure, but that's been the impetus for growth. Actually, it's all those times that we've been challenged that we kind of stand up and grow more. That's my daughter. I hope you're watching, Sonny. So I didn't, and there's Savitri, our neighbor. He's a bit on the side. And he's been very significant. I'm not quite sure where Savitri is. That's my father. And Sudaz also, and there's my daughter. But yeah, so I think in the beginning I was honoring, and the live stream wasn't there, and I do want the people on the live stream to hear that Leon and Brett, my brother and wife, were really significant in helping to build this, and the art that you find here, a lot of that's from Leon. My father actually purchased the Shankaraya land with my stepmom, which was what allowed us to, have a space to have guests. And there's Richard. And also to honor my mom, who lived here and built the gardens. So the gardens that you see now, she was the first one to really put the energy into the garden, and our teachers, our gurus, because in the very beginning it was a mishmash of different things. And I remember we went to India for the first time when I met Swami Naranjan, and he said to us, focus on the yoga aspect and teach traditional yoga, and at that time, as all these other things started coming, and gym yoga and these types of things, and he said very strongly, teach traditional yoga. And that has now been what has, you can say, been the mainstay, and the permaculture is woven in, the creativity is woven in, and the different things that we explored throughout the years are all interwoven. But the key core has been that traditional yoga, and it was the teachings that we received from our inspirers. So, maybe Prabhavanan, do you have anything to share? You were here before there was anything.
Yeah, I remember the first workshop was Arvind, who lives in Nelson.
Yes, that's right.
And I was doing a course in deep tissue massage, and he talked about Swami Mukti teaching a course on Yoga Nidra. So we came up, and more or less the whole course was up in the top building. I think on the previous slide you could see the old kitchen, which was maybe a third of the size.
Yeah.
And so the workshop was up there, and I think we had a kirtan in the building down there.
In Shankaraya,
in
where we were
Shankaraya.
living, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely making up the hill was already the first story of success. I remember I had to ask a passenger if there were some people in the car at least twice to go out of the car so that I could drive over the fort and not damage the car.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember? Beautiful.
Lovely.
Priya, do you have any stories to share?
Maybe I can share how I ended up here. 12 years ago now, was it? 2010. So a little bit similar to you, Karuna. 10 years prior to finding this place, I had been on my own seeking journey and meeting amazing teachers from different traditions, traveling in different places around the world, and having very profound experiences that eventually brought me here. And yes, I hadn't yet found a direction really. And I came to New Zealand because I wanted to learn more about permaculture. Believe it or not, it wasn't yoga at all. And my permaculture teacher in Portugal, before leaving Europe, mentioned this place and Savitri's land next door. And so it was just a month or two after I arrived to New Zealand that I got in touch with Savitri, and I moved there. And one night he says, do you want to go up for kirtan? And I had never experienced kirtan before. I didn't even know what that was. I hadn't met the neighbours yet, nothing. So I was like, sure, let's go. And that was my first introduction to Anahata and to what became a very strong beautiful members of my family, my spiritual family. And of course, kirtan blew me away. And that's where the relationship began. And for the time that I was here, I kept coming and going, and every time the practices, the mantras, I don't know, something really started speaking inside, and every time I was drawn more and more and more to this place, until one night I also was living in Saraswati in the bush, and I was quite desperate because I felt like everything I had done prior to coming here, I had banged against the wall. I couldn't find a path forward. With my practice, everything, I couldn't, there was something missing. And I said, I need a teacher. And it was the day after that our beloved soulmate, Mark, who's no longer with us, a very important person for this place, Atmabhava's soul brother and your son, who contributed so much to this beautiful mountain. He came up and he goes, you know what, Swami Niranjan is going to give a 3-year sannyas training in India. And my face just dropped. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is me. I have to go. But I wasn't ready yet to go. And so Swami Karuna and Mukti at the time very generously said, Priya, you need to transition and assess whether this is the right thing for you. Why don't you come and actually live here for some time? And that's what I did. And so I can't remember, but it was a beautiful mountain night full of stars, and I got this insight, I have to cut my hair off. So the next day, Swami Muktidharma was shaving my head off, and it was the biggest liberation ever to not have hair and to actually see something different inside of myself. That I felt in complete harmony, ever. And the teachings, at the time I had not yet met my teacher, Swami Niranjan. Sense there was a map for me on which I could place myself, whereas previously I was in limbo. I was doing all these things and I was sure working on myself and evolving, but I was still in limbo. I couldn't really understand. And this place helped me to bring clarity to what I was doing with my life. And living here is the happiest, when I look back, it's probably one of the happiest times in my life. Because back then, this place was buzzing with sadhana, buzzing with sannyasins that believed in what they were doing, and they walked the talk to the best of their capability. Many had been to India and so on. Atmabhav was one of my inspirations, Zach, alongside Karuna, Mukti. Swami Gyandharma, who's in Europe, he was amazing. We had visitors like Rishi Diwali and Nityabodh, who's no longer with us. These people, Swami Atmamuktanand from Rockland, these and yes, I remember we did a havan just before. I remember we did a havan just before leaving, and it was here to the group of people that were there, who were my family, my friends. Saga was there. A lot of these people have taken their own different roads and continue in their lives, but they're still family. And I remember what came up with me was to live, to do everything, to give your whole heart to everything that you do, everything that you undertake, your whole life. Give your full heart. And that is what came out of 6 months living here, and 2 years of interaction, of course, but 6 months permanently living here. That's what came, was an awakening of heart and doing things with love, and finding that that was the source of inspiration in life. Through our ups and downs and clashes and egos, battling each other, all of that which is part of the journey, really. It was about giving yourself entirely. So I always feel that Anahata for many people has been a crossroads. It has been people have come here and then taken amazing different directions. Some of us ended in India for many years. So I'm very fortunate today to be here, to have met my teacher, and to be able to share. I have the opportunity. But it's beautiful to remember humble beginnings always. And this place is always a reminder of where I was at 12 years ago, 20 years ago, and how important it was to jump into the abyss, let go of everything, believe in yourself, do it. And that's what I would encourage every single one of you to do, is really never forget to live with your heart fully. If you're a resident here, you're living here at the moment, dedicate yourself totally, because the rewards are beyond words. So thank you.
Thank you.
To you, and to you who always push buttons, and to Zach, to my sister Katyayani and Saga, and Annapurna, who was then right there, and Devangi and Majo and Mukti and the Rishis, Zach there, Mangaland. Yeah, it's a place with beautiful energy. It's charged with effort and sadhana.
Yes. Thank you, Priya. Gashtra, here maybe so you can be in the live stream if you want to share something. Come around this way.
Tangi te titi, ka tangi te kākā, ka tangi hoki kō, ki hei. Mauri ora. Ko taka mihi tū tai ki āi o matua te kore. Tēnā koe. Tēnā koutou e te whānau. Tēnā koutou.
Gashtra.
Tēnā koe. Kia ora.
You can stand it.
I te whenua ki wao, tēnā koe whenua. Tēnā koe. Are ko te ngākau. Ka tūau I kiko nei anō. E te ware e tū nei. Tēnā koe e te ware. Tēnā koe. Ka nui ngā tau. I ngā tangata tēnā tātou katoa. Ngā mihi. Hare Om Tat Sat. Hare Om Tat Sat. Hare Om. Ka nui te mihi. E ngā rangatira o te Satchinanda. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou katoa. E ngā kaimai. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou katoa. E ngā hoa mā, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā tātou katoa. Mi aroa, mi manaki, mi wakonangatanga ki a koutou. Ewa, my friend. Great to hear your story. Because I came here searching for somebody too. But I was following a spirit from Marahau. So our people are from here, Kaitapeka, out the back of Tōmaranui, on the Maniapoto, Tūwharetoa boundary, on the Maniapoto side. And but I was born in Motueka, in Par Street, just down from the marae. So my whānau has been in Australia since 1880, but I came home here in here somewhere. Where is she? Claire. There you are. Yeah, Claire. To me, you're a cousin. To Dennis and Uncle Pat. You know, through your Cherokee blood. Alright. So I came back with Dennis Banks and a Lakota Sioux elder, and I ended up coming for a walk into the bush and find her. And I was like, yeah, nah, not today. My pack's in the hut. We'd already reached our first hut. And so I put my gear there, and the dog and I had just gone for a little walk. I said, no, I'll come and look for you tomorrow. And then I got into the centre there. Is that Castles, where the three-way junction is? You don't know? There's a spot in the centre here where the tracks, there's a three-way junction, and one goes to Awaroa, and the other one comes over here. And I'd run out of food, and I wasn't feeling like eating fern root and grubs and stuff. And I didn't know Anahata was here at all. And I knew, I could sense that the one I was looking for was at Awaroa, but you know, I just couldn't be bothered. Not in a bad way, but I just didn't, yeah, so I came this way. And then I came out and I was heading to Takaka. And I came out of the bush, it was pouring rain, I was drenched to the core, and I saw this whare up here, the main house, and so I came. Rat and Māori from the Kiore line in Napoli. Yeah. And
I was pretty wet when I turned up too. We'd had 3 days of rain, so
yeah. And they dropped 3 big trees. And I said, well, is there, she said, come inside and have something to eat and get warm. And so I did that. And then I said, is there something I can do to help? Because I'd like to pull my weight, you know. So she said, well, there's all this wood out here. We need it split up. And there was 3 big trees that had been dropped, and it was all in rounds. And I butted them all up together, and it was awesome because I could let my Māori side out. My Māori side is what I just brought here. Ko tēnā taku ao, te ao Māori. But it's a little bit hard for me to bring that here. Because, you know, ka nui te kā. The power is strong. When we dance a haka, is to show how much you've got to stand up for the sacred things. And they do it in a different way here. And it's a very beautiful way, and I honour that. You know, I've seen Swami year after year. I know, I just know from what I've experienced up here that people come here, they process stuff, they clear stuff, and they go out there. And they take it out there and they spread it out through across the world, however they... I didn't say that. I did consider coming when you told me it was going to be simple on. But my aroha for you and for your tikanga and colour, I couldn't do that. You know? Commit to the path. Yeah. So I bundled them all together and I walked across and I sang, "O mea te tai, te toki!" And I split them all. Really quick. And I went back and said, I'm done. Yeah, it might have taken me 2 days. Yeah, it worked really well. It was a really good technique. Yeah. And what else have I got to share? Yeah, so you know, I was just sharing with my cousin because she told me she was Cherokee, and I said, "Oh, I don't like saying it because you know, it's a status. I'm an eagle dancer. So eagle, you know, they get your skin, they get a blade and they cut your skin, they put it through the sinew and they cut through the other side and they put a peg on the end of it, push it back through, and they do the same on this side. And if you're lucky and you do 4 directions, you get it. She wants to talk more. I love you, my cuz.
Love you too. Yeah. Thank you.
And I'd give my life very happily to protect you and your part. And we're very grateful to see you bring this medicine here. I'm sure. Many, many. I don't speak for everybody, but many would be very happy that I acknowledge you like that. And the tikam and the kawa, the ways, the correct ways of practice, some practices, this discipline, etc., of bringing them here.
Thank you. Honor you.
Waira e tō ringa. Aole mā te tika. Greetings and acknowledgement to all of us, kotahi tangata, one family.
Kia ora. Beautiful. I think you've just heard from, several different people, and what I'd like to share is that this place has always been a contribution from so many different people. All these people you're seeing on the slideshow, each and every one of them who've come, each and every one of you who come and share with us and gift of yourselves. And in our tradition, the Swami Shivananda talks about serve, love, give, meditate, purify, realize. And before you meditate, purify, realize, serve, love, give is there. And the Anahata chakra is the quality of serving and loving, giving, compassion. And actually beautiful to share with you last night when we had this full moon. I didn't get to see it, but there was a deer in the garden, in our garden, and the antelope. And so I just felt that kind of really beautiful blessing. Been the core of this place, and without each and every one of people that have come and gifted themselves in some way or another, this place wouldn't have been built. It wouldn't still be here, because there's been many times when I said, that's it, I'm done. And yet there's been the right people at the right time that have come and have strengthened, or who have inspired, who have given whatever their little gift is, and that's why we're still here. Yeah. So
One of the things that sticks out for me most about this place from the very beginning is how you have made things happen out of nothing. When I first arrived, there were 2 winters with just a crew of blokes. And we didn't chant down here, we chanted in the main room, we did kirtan in the main room. The toilet shower area, I remember doing, I was in the shower, and someone was doing neti in the sink with pointing out stuff and making me nervous, someone else was shaving. So there was this extreme contrast between around that to support it. But your way has always been, you get on and you do it. Completely transformed, from phenomenal transformations over the years. So I just see your Shakti power behind this, and right through this as the consistent line that has held us and held us and held us. And I hear you saying, that there have been times when you couldn't see what was going to happen next, but you've done that since the beginning. and you've made it happen since the beginning. So, yeah.
Actually, I thank you, Sagar. Beautiful words. And you know, actually, in the beginning, I did have the vision, like what we're doing here now. That was the vision 25 years ago, but it took 25 years to get there. I thought you just have the vision and it happens. But it was all the steps along the way, and the reality is without those steps along the way, the transformation wouldn't have been there to allow for, you know, for me and for the people that do hold and have been holding spaces at different times to be in the right state of presence to be able to hold what is now. Yeah. So each of those steps, and I do really again thank our tradition, because you know, the practices that we have shared, these traditional practices, they're not my practices, they come from tradition. The inspiration that I've gotten, the way we do our havan, the attention to karma yoga and bringing the practice off the mat into daily life, that's the training I've received that I now can, you know, share a teeny little seed of. Yeah, so I feel very grateful. I said that last night, I can't remember. But like for me, like I've turned 50, I'm actually 51 now, so I'm into my Vanaprastha years, and there's 4 key stages in the yogic lifestyle. So the first is 0 to 25, when you're learning and you're getting education in physical life as well as spiritual life. The next stage is 25 to 50, where you're engaged in, you know, maybe family and society and doing activities that are connected to upholding society. And so my 25 years have been here and using these practices in this space to support community, support my own growth. And from 50 to 75, it's what they call Vanaprastha, or the forest dweller. And so that's when you start to step back and to go into more deep sadhana. And yes, we've been doing sadhana all along, but when you're behind the scenes, the sadhana is the karma yoga. The sadhana is the I feel that this 25-year celebration is also a transition for me, where I've already started that on my 50th birthday, and I kind of spoke that out, and I've been stepping this new generation, all you young, beautiful people who are here, and Connie, who've been holding a lot of amazing space, and the team around that's been here. My hope is that, you know, you guys keep on standing up, and the place continues to be here for the future, for the transformation, for the inspiration, and I can just be a little bit in the background and be a wise woman, hopefully. So, yeah, I guess our timing is kind of coming to an end. So I think I'll draw it to a close. But just an honor to so many of you, and I know I've forgotten some of you. I saw Allie. I didn't see you before. Allie lived here for a while, and others of you have, and each of you have brought something special to this place. So thank you. Oh my goodness. Aww. Aww. You.
Thank you for creating this beautiful paradise.
Shall I open it and show everybody? And as I said earlier, it's not just on me. Like, we wouldn't be here without, you know, my family, who was a very key part of this in the beginning and still are energetically. Aww. Oh, have to pass it around. It's beautiful pictures of the Anahata. Oh, thank you all. Yeah, for all your contributions and your beauty, and for being here to share this with us. So we'll pass around the beautiful gift, and wanted to. So we are going to now move into Hatha Yoga, but there's quite a few of us, so we'll have one group in here, and then another group will be out in the garden with Connie. So you can see where you feel called to be. So I'll be in here, and we'll live stream that, and then if you either can't fit in or you'd like to particularly be out in the sun, then you could go out with Connie. Okay, so thank you so much. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Parvati. Tat Sat. Was that CT? I think it was CT. So and then come back for and the slideshow, we'll have it going maybe during dinner too if you want to. Thank you, sweetheart. There you're right here. You're so cute. Do you see some of the kids? Yeah.
I wish there were more kids here.
I know. Might come though. They might come.
Anyway, thank you so much. This is like a paradise for me.
Oh, I took some pictures and I got some really nice moments.
Thank you for sharing.